things first, again, thank you for coming to our inaugural event. I'm really, really pleased to see so many people join us this evening. It's really, really great to see that there's an ever-strengthening community of Dynamics 365 user groups, but particularly the committee and I were really passionate to try and represent or get better representation in the Southwest so that we don't all have to keep trudging to Reading or London or up to the lovely people in Birmingham or Manchester. So really, really proud to see you all here. So I just had a bit of a panicked conversation with the committee. I was like, oh God, I've got a space on the agenda for fire exits and I've got no idea where they are. So I've just been reliably informed that there is one there, but if I was you, I think that looks like a fairly suitable fire exit too. But my gracious assistant is pointing out the other one there. Toilets, again, just through the corridor, through the bar, which you've probably already spotted. You'll find them there. In terms of the Wi-Fi, feel free to jump on the Watershed Open. I'm sure that it's incredibly high speed, but if you could kind of be gentle on it when our presenters are demoing, that would be really kind. So if you want us to stay on 4G, that's all good. And as I said, we're really keen to be as social as possible, so feel free to hit us up on Twitter and use our hashtags, hashtag D365UG Bristol. Again, I'm not going to let you forget about that QR code. It's super easy. Just open up your camera. It'll take you straight there. Cool, so I won't keep you too long, but I really did just want to extend a huge thank you to our speakers. We've got an absolutely insanely cool lineup for our first event, so apologies for the next event because it's probably not going to be anywhere near as cool, but we thought we'd start on the right foot. So we'll introduce those a little bit later, but thank you so much for making the journey. I know some of you have come all the way from the dark depths of Luncarty in Perthshire in Scotland, so we appreciate you coming down south. Cool. Secondly, I also wanted to say a massive thank you to the committee. So we're a newly formed committee. We've only been hanging out on digital channels for about 2 months to arrange this event. Believe it or not, this is the first time we've all been in the same room. In fact, it's the first time that more than 2 of us have ever been in the same room at the same time. So it's probably a bit of a testament to the digital collaboration channels, particularly WhatsApp, which I appreciate is not owned by Microsoft, but nonetheless incredibly powerful. So just to give you a bit of an intro as to who we are. So first up, we've got Rob. Rob, if you want to wave. Wonderful Rob Pellady, fantastic architect, currently at the University of Bath. Feel free to hit him up on Twitter. We've got Dan Barber. Dan, again, another wonderful architect. EBEX currently. Myself, I'm pre-sales, which means I get to do all the shiny, fluffy stuff right at the start of the process. I'm at Hitachi at the moment. And Joel, who's wonderfully going to be recording all of our sessions this afternoon. So just to let you know that that will be the case. So if you've got any colleagues or friends or whatever that weren't able to join us, we will have both recordings of the presentations of the speakers themselves, and we'll be making them available on our digital channels later. So also, if you haven't brought a notebook as well, don't worry. You will be able to see those presentations later on. Now, the committee have worked tirelessly to put this together. So we've organised a venue and all that kind of cool stuff, but most importantly, have been accumulating swag to donate to you guys. So you will notice in the middle of your tables that Rob specifically has put together some goodie bags for you guys, so feel free to dig in. I appreciate some of you have just left them in the middle of the table. A fantastic restraint, but do get dig in if you like. So importantly, we have an announcement. We already have the next date for our next user group. So mark your diaries. It's October the 18th. So feel free to use the bit.ly link at the bottom there just to register your interest. We will be announcing speakers soon per the normal channels, LinkedIn, Twitter, etc. So feel free to jump on. I'll leave that slide up just for another second or two so that you can feel free to make a note of it. Cool, so next up, I mentioned earlier that we've got some wonderful speakers for our first ever event. I just wanted to do a really brief intro into all of them so that you know who they are, for those of you that don't know who they are already. So they're all real strong players in the Dynamics world. And first up, we've got Mark Smith. Woo, big cheer for Mark. Thank you. Woo. So contrary to popular belief, Mark hasn't actually travelled all the way from New Zealand, but is now located in London and has been in our beautiful country for around a year. Feel free to search for Mark's podcasts. They are wonderful and they're really insightful into the Dynamics community, so really worth giving that a look. Next up, we have Scott Giroux, another veteran from the Dynamics 365 community world. Who's going to be taking us to another realm this evening, so thanks for that, Scott. Also a committee member for CRM-UG. And finally, we have the wonderful Mark Christie all the way from the sunny Perthshire. Woo. Thanks for coming. who provided us with some wonderful entertainment on the journey down from London this evening on the train. So apologies for the rest of the people in carriage B on this 2:30 from Paddington. Okay, so as you know, we are just one chapter of many, and I wanted to just make sure that you guys had the dates for the next UG chapter meetings that are available, so feel free again to take a picture of this slide. I appreciate that the date of the top event is today's date, and the reason I wanted to highlight that is because the community is so strong, there are often more than one event going on at the same time. So again, thank you to those that also are coming to this event, or not that one, really appreciate it. That's a Power Apps and Flow UG happening in London as we speak. I also wanted to say a massive thank you to Ivan, who's come all the way from Croatia and actually chose our event over London. Thanks, Ivan. And thanks also to those that voted on his tweet on Twitter to vote for Bristol. So yeah, some really, really massive events coming up, and I particularly wanted to highlight the Aberdeen event, and also one that's missing on there, which is London, coming up in November. That's a 2-day event with some really great training going on there as well. Okay. As this is our first event, we're really keen to get your feedback, as we always are. So feel free to take a shot of this QR code, which will take you to our Microsoft Forms, obviously, that you can provide your feedback on. We want to make sure we capture as much as we possibly can, just to make sure these events keep getting better and better and aren't just what we want to be doing with our evenings. So be as honest as you can and give us some some feedback. And if your QR code isn't working, feel free to use the link. Now, I mentioned earlier that we are keen to be on social as much as possible, and we do actually have some prizes. So continue to use the hashtag, and we will be, during the refreshment break at 8 o'clock, picking some random winners. And thanks to the University of Bath and for Rob sorting out a year's membership to Pluralsight. So for those of you that aren't aware, that's a really cool e-learning platform with loads of Dynamics 365 and Power Platform content, so it's a fantastic prize. So round of applause to Bath Uni for donating that. Thank you so much. So I mentioned we aren't the only user group. There very much is a massive active community around the CRM UG and Power Platform and D365UG world. And I just wanted to spend a few minutes talking about how else you guys might want to get involved, whether you be Dynamics 365 users or partners or even ISV solutions. And the first thing I wanted to just shout out about is a new concept that Sarah Critchley, Anna Demony, and myself are working on at the moment around getting individuals who aren't necessarily or haven't necessarily got the funding or the backing from their organisation to attend these kind of events to educate themselves. We're putting together a programme called Give Yourself Some Credit, where we will highlight key individuals from the community as nominated by other members. So feel free, if you've got someone in the back of your mind that you think they'd really get value from these kinds of sessions, but perhaps they can't get the time off, or they can't fund the journey, or perhaps they don't have the mentorship that they need. And we're going to be providing them with just that. So we'll be giving them exam vouchers for Microsoft exams, funding to travel to the event, and also mentorship if they perhaps want to become a speaker themselves. So feel free to tweet with the hashtag Give Yourself Some Credit with any suggestions. The programme is very much in its infancy, but by the time of the next event, we hope to have something solid and some examples of some individuals that we've helped fund to enhance our community and enhance their work and interaction with Dynamics 365. Again, these are two other real passionate members of the community. I'm sure many people already know Sarah Critchley, who actually manages the London and Reading user group and is very key in the user group world, but also Anna, who works at Vanquis Bank and is a wonderful developer and a particularly passionate educational leader. Cool, and on that note, in terms of getting involved, I mentioned the November event at London. They're actually looking for speakers now, so if you feel after today that you want to get involved and you actually want to present a topic that you're particularly passionate about, feel free again to register, and I would really encourage you to do that. Don't sit there and think, I've got nothing to say, I'm not perhaps as loud as others. Everyone's got some inspiring story to tell, so whether it be war bruises from a delivery or a deployment or a migration, through all the way to an exciting app you've built with a flick button or a Power App or a Microsoft Flow, feel free to submit your ideas, and the speaking slots close soon, so get them in soon. And finally, in terms of getting more out of the event, I wanted to share a bit of a story about a lady that's particularly inspiring that I met recently at the Business Application Summit in Atlanta. Her name is Louise Fries. You might recognise her from the middle of the QR code. She's particularly active on Twitter. She's based out of Hamburg, and she's a modern workplace consultant. So she works actually not really with Dynamics, but with SharePoint, the Common Data Service, and every kind of element of Office 365. And she built a really interesting blog post that details the steps that she takes to get the most out of an event. Because she was finding that she was going to an event, perhaps taking loads of photos of badges or picking up loads of business cards, and then quick as a flash, doing absolutely nothing with them when she got back to her desk. So she built, using the stack and using the technology, a whole series of actions based out of getting the most out of an event. So I'd really encourage you to look at that. That QR code will take you straight to that blog post. And it's a really good thing to go away and do when you get back to the office or get back home. On a similar thought, and something you can actually do this evening, another thing I just wanted to highlight that Sarah Critchley kindly reminded me of on the London UG event on Tuesday is the ability to actually quickly connect with others in the room via LinkedIn. So LinkedIn has this wonderful functionality where if you go on the search bar, you'll notice this QR code or this barcode icon on the right-hand side. It takes you straight to a QR code where you can scan each other. And you'll notice right at the top, you've got your scan and your code there. So you can easily hook up with each other. Well, connect with each other, probably, I should say, from LinkedIn. Or hook up, I'm not judging. Okay, and with that, I just again wanted to reach out to you and say thank you so much for attending. It isn't actually the PowerPoint in the stable downstairs now, but I forgot to take that off the slide. But thank you so much. Big round of applause to you guys for actually coming out on your what is it, Thursday? Yeah. It's been a long week. On your Thursday night and supporting your community, so thank you so much.